do you think? Good. Good morning, good morning. Ooh, looks like my lens is a little dirty. It is Monday, March 13, 2019. I'm headed into work for the day. Just realized that this week is payday. What is it? Probably Wednesday or something like that. So much needed. I'm about out of money. I need to start ordering a few things from Amazon. I need to get some deodorant and just some groceries and stuff. And I'm like broke as hell. Been eating like bagged lunch or whatever every day at work for the last week and a half because I'm broke. But almost got that credit card paid off. And after that, then I can get a few things that I've been really wanting to get. So I feel like I want to get back into watercolor painting a little bit more. I came across this concept or idea on Instagram of all places. But basically, like these people, they cut out Polaroid photo-sized pieces of paper, and then they paint them and leave like a border similar to how a Polaroid would be. So the there's like a extra thick white border across the bottom, and then a smaller one around the rest of the image. And I like that concept. It's really tiny, really small, and it gives you something to practice with, but it's not as involved and intense as like a full-blown 8 by 11 or whatever sheet of paper. So and one sheet of paper can probably make at least 4 of those Polaroids, maybe even 6. So I just thought that was kind of cool. So it's something that I want to get into. I want to get another travel set for watercolors. It's like a small little carry case that can basically fit in your pocket, and it carries the paint and all that. My thing is though that what I need to figure out is how do you put watercolor paint in those portable things? Because like when I had some paint that I had squeezed out into the pans on my other tray set thing, it like dried out, of course, but then it like was cracking and just like flaking and falling off because it was more like a watercolor, like a mixing pan type of material, like that really shiny, smooth plastic. So I'm thinking I don't know if I need to get a portable set that has they call them pans, but those little square blocks, and you fill those with paint versus just pouring some out onto like a mixing tray type of material. So I don't know how that works exactly. I'm guessing that's what you need to do. Alright, so I already forgot what I was saying, but last night Grant's mom messaged me at like 5 p.m. and was like, hey, Grant got a new bat from Grandma, and he's itching to come back by you and practice tonight. And I'm like, huh? I'm like, I'm not even home. I'm like, why don't you drop him off at like 6:30? So she's normally supposed to have him till 8. So she's like, okay. So I was running like 5 minutes late, and I messaged her, and they were sitting in the driveway waiting for me. So then, he gets out of the car and he's all excited to show me his bat and all this stuff, and so I'm checking it out and or whatever, and his mom is standing there for a few minutes, and I'm showing him some tips and tricks and shit on how to bunt and all that, and she's like, alright, well, it was like 5 minutes. She's like, oh, well, I gotta get going. We got company over at the house. I'm like, huh? It's Mother's Day. And you're like dumping your kid off, and then like, oh, I gotta go party at the house instead. So I was just like, what? So then I asked Grant, I'm like, who was over? Like, was it your other grandma? Like your great grandma? He's like, no. He's like, I think it was an aunt or something. I'm like, who? And he's like, I can't remember. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? So I was just like, I was kind of expecting to get him back early, But I was just like, damn, really? Like, and then when she said that, like, oh, I gotta go, I gotta leave, I can't sit here and hang out, or not hang out, but talk to you for 5 minutes. I'm like, what the fuck? So, that's what happened yesterday and stuff. Today, I'm trying to think what I got going on today. It's just more work stuff. If I get a chance, I might start working on the scripting for that video game thing. I bought a program that does OCR. It's called Soda PDF, and it sucks. So I already requested a refund for that, and they are going to, they should send me that money. It was like $70 for their shitty software, and it wouldn't recognize anything. So I emailed them and sent them a sample file, and they're like, oh, this isn't a high enough resolution screenshot, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, well, I know of at least 2 other pieces of software that can convert that no fucking problem. So I don't know what you guys are talking about, but see you out there. Theirs is like converting it to like wingdings and crazy fonts.
As you can all not see me very well because of the sun, that is going to be a consistent thing because the drone will be flying just above the treetops here.
Yeah.
Don't worry about blinking because you probably won't be able to see that close anyways.
Alright guys, so I've had quite the productive day today. So I worked on that video game project for Delta Wars a bit more today. And specifically, I started scripting. And I started trying to figure out, okay, what exactly do I want? So they have some examples and stuff of various different ways of doing things. So I came up with, I wrote 7 different iterations of my program, like step by step. I would just make a new copy when I was done with one step. So the way it works is I run a jiggler on a computer that keeps me logged in with a program running called Snagit. Snagit takes screenshots of the chat that's rolling through, and once the like once a day I take the previous day's photos and put them all in a folder and kind of just literally just clump those together as each day's images. So then I dump them over to a different computer, and that's the one that I'm running the scripts on and all that sort of stuff. So for the scripts, what I did was you run this program or a script, and it asks you to select a folder. So I go to the folder where the images are saved and select it. And then the script goes through and it figures out how many files are in that folder, how many images, because it's only going to be a folder with images in it. It puts all of the file names into an array, and then I have the script write a text file that has on each line of the text file the full file path for each file in that folder. So it might be like c/user/desktop/abc.png. PNGs are the screenshot files. So from there, I go to I actually found an open source OCR program. I think it's called, what is it called? Character to OCR or something like that. I'll look it up, and character to text or something like that. And I don't know how I didn't come across this sooner, but it's open source, which means free. It's it supports command line, so it has a CLI interface, and it can do batch processing of images. It's fucking phenomenal. So I can literally, I take that script that generates a text file with all the full file paths. I take that text file, put it into the CLI command for that script, and then it goes through each individual image and, using its magic, extracts the text out using OCR, and then it takes that text from each image and puts it into a different text file, and it just adds the text down on that file, on that one file. So then right now, that's as far as I got today. So right now I have the ability to convert via bulk method a folder of images to a text file. It's not perfect, it's not pretty, it's actually pretty damn ugly, because when it's extracting the text from each image, it just pukes it into a text file, and then the next one just goes right after that. So there's it doesn't even break each image's text lines into individual lines, and that sucks. So I'm gonna have to do some parsing of that text file to make it look pretty and try to make heads or tails of it. And because it's OCR, it's not perfectly converting it over or anything like that either, so that sucks. Snagit has a OCR tool that's pretty damn near perfect. The problem with Snagit is it takes a lot longer, a lot more time. So I've been experimenting and tweaking the whole process. Like, for instance, when I was doing my scripting, it was acting weird, and I couldn't figure out what the problem was. Well, my scripting program didn't like spaces in the folder name. So I realized what it was doing. I'm like, oh, okay, so then I removed the space, and I'm like, all right, that's better. And then it was still acting wonky. I'm like, oh, it doesn't like spaces in the file name, so for the images. And I'm like, okay. So then I just kind of kept working through it. So then I'm like, all right, well, if it doesn't like spaces, then I need to save it without spaces, right? So I had to go on my screenshot server and change the file name protocol to not have any spaces in it. So I did that. So starting today, those images today won't have spaces. I've been taking screenshots for 3 days. So I was like, all right, well, is there a way to rename all of these files and pull out those spaces? So I found a PowerShell script that looks through all the file names, and anywhere there's a space, it substitutes a dash in for a space. So this was all just like, you know, figuring this out today and getting it up and running and all that sort of stuff. So there probably is a way I can run all this through Snagit and have a pretty damn near perfect conversion and all that. But that might be something I have to revisit after I kind of see just how good or bad this open source OCR is. Snagit's going to cost me $60 or $70 to buy as well, and that sucks. Not really happy about that, but I mean, if it works and it works really well, why not? So yeah, so right now I'm just getting to the text files, the jumbled mess text files, and then from there now I got to go through and start parsing it and figuring out a way to make it look better, or at least somewhat readable. But I still have all those screenshots, so if like this ends up not really working out, it was just a fun coding exercise at the end of the day. If it doesn't work out, I can literally just click on the first screenshot for each day and just click next and just read it manually and go from there. I had this idea of, well, why don't I, you know, automate this and then make it all into one document, and it would be awesome and all that. So, I don't know what was going on. There was a cop standing on the corner over there, so maybe they're doing, I don't know, sometimes they do seatbelt checks and shit. Yeah, so I originally was just going to read these screenshots and be like, oh, that's cool, but then I was like, well, if I could put it in just a text file and then just have one file to read instead of 1,000 images to go through. The whole idea is when it takes new screenshots, there's a lot of lines of chat text that's duplicated. So I had the idea of, oh, if I can get all that into a text file, I can run a script that removes all those duplicate lines, and then it's literally just like a proper chat log. So that's kind of how this has evolved, and the reason why I'm doing all this extra work when it's, you know, just a silly video game. But it also gives me something else to do that keeps me active in the game and on top of things and knowing what's going on without having to spend the damn money on all the titanium and all that shit to keep up with these guys. I mean, this guy's dropping fat cash. So that's my thought on all this. But yeah, stay tuned for more. All right, let's try, bud. Don't hit the ones on the bounce. Yeah, don't. Yeah. If you swing, it's a strike. So don't swing at those. Don't swing them at them. Here it comes. Granted, if it hits the ground, it's a ball unless you swing. Okay. The ones that hit the ground, just let them bounce by.
She came home and she came to Florida. And Minnie was still in the car. She got out right after that too. She came home and came to private visit. You know, just hang out. And Grace said she felt like she was and Mary snapped. She said that. And I tell you, 2 weeks later, Mary was saying it.
All right, good.
Over here. This way, right there.
And they won 4 of us. Girl Logan was right over there in the gallery last week. But she was still everywhere. And the DC ain't no every time I see this photo house. Ain't no Frank Stewart. Every time you look up, so why are you doing that? Girl, she ain't doing nothing. What? She's never let me go. What? Something doesn't see that.